Where do I start? Let's start with Galadriel. In this is not Galadriel at all. She absolutely is a Mary Sue in typical modern day fashion. She is elevated by making everyone else around her stupid. They make every man around her less brave, less smart, less insightful, less wise, less skilled. And that's how they elevate Galadriel up. Problem with this is that the elves are meant to be superior, superhuman type characters. They're meant to be the most wise, the most skilled. So by making all the elves pathetic, it doesn't make Galadriel look better. What made Galadriel so powerful was that she was the best of the elves. She was the most powerful elf, and all of the elves were amazing. So by being the best of the best, it elevated her tremendously. In this, the elves in this come across as they're idiots. They're incompetent, they're naive, foolish. It's pathetic. I'm so sick of this trope. It's so lame. They can't write female characters without turning them into men, or by making all of the men around them pathetic. It's pointless. It's so boring. The elves in this show are so bad. They're so bad. They don't have any of that kind of ethereal, ancient wisdom. They just come across like soap actors, like soap opera actors. That's it. They're not special. They're not, and they don't even look like elves. The long hair thing pisses me off a lot, because the long hair, as trivial as it may sound, not only does it separate the elves visually, it communicates something that is hard to communicate, and that is a sense of timelessness. Like when you're a character that lives thousands of years, you probably would have long hair. Long hair suggests long life. It takes a long time to grow long hair. And if you've been living if you're like 5,000 years old, you're probably not going to get your hair cut that often, because it's going to seem pointless after a while. There has to be a sense of timelessness. There has to be a sense of almost like growing weary. That's one of the things that makes elves interesting, is that they talk slowly, they've got long hair, they're languid. There's no urgency. Why would there be? You've got all of it. You've got all of eternity. So you're not in a hurry. You don't have to worry about time. And the haircuts they've given them are just these poofy looking kind of, these foo-foo looking, just this pretty boy kind of catalogue model kind of coiffure. I hate it. The elves in this show are terrible. The elves especially are bad. It's really bad. And some of the dialogue in this show, they can't write elves. The amount of crap that comes out of their mouth, the platitudes, they're just bizarre. They're not even like hilariously bizarre. They're just strange, clumsy. This is not. They're trying to be so profound, and it just sounds stupid. It just sounds silly. This is so poor. Listen to it. It's so clunky. And these are meant to be the wisest, the most intelligent, the most sophisticated race on Middle Earth. It sounds like you pulled a diary out from under a 15-year-old angst-ridden teenager's bed, and you're reading like tortured lines of lame poetry. It's like they think they're being so profound with some of these statements, and they're just hollow and pathetic, and it's embarrassing, to be honest. These elves are terrible. I don't like the hobbits in this show. They seem to exist to really as a kind of fan service, a kind of bait. You remember the hobbits? Here's some hobbits, but don't call them hobbits because we don't want to get sued. But look at them doing hobbity things. Oh wait, no, half-witty things. It's lame. And the hobbits in this, they look disgusting. They're filthy. They look like a family of scarecrows that have been like covered in lawn clippings. They look like a bunch of homeless people that have been dragged through a hedge. There's a scene in this show which I hate it, where this girl, the main hobbit, eats snails. She kind of pulls out a snail and sucks it down, and is like licking the slime off her feet. Oh, it's just so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. It just looks horrible. These are meant to be... If Gollum was doing it, it might work. It might work if it's a character that is meant to be disgusting. Other half that's meant to be disgusting, then they're not good. They're not good. I don't know what the point is, and the main two characters as well. The main two characters. Oh God, what are they called? I think Nori and Poppy. They're basically just Frodo and Sam. They even look. The Nori character looks like Elijah Wood. I'm almost surprised that they didn't ask Elijah Wood to put on a dress and just be Nori. And the other girl, the less interesting hobbit. She's just like the fat hobbit. So you've got the fat one and the Elijah Wood one. Did it have to be that combination? I'm betting if I put a picture of Frodo and Sam through FaceApp will shit out a photo that looks exactly like these two female hobbit characters. It's distracting. And the half-wits in general, I don't know why they're all Irish. Apart from Lenny Henry, who's Jamaican. So we've got a Jamaican half-foot, and we've got all the half-foots are Irish. And the reason they're doing that is because they think Irish people are simple, so we'll give them Irish accents. They think to themselves, what kind of people would eat slugs and snails and never wash? Oh, I know, the Irish. It's clumsy. Now maybe on a more controversial perspective here, I don't like the multicultural hobbit angle. You know, these are meant to be a secluded tribe of people, so that means that they're probably not going to mix with people. It means that anyone in the tribe is going to stay in the tribe and not leave the tribe. That's what's being suggested. Surely they would all end up looking the same. No, and I don't understand how Nori has a black mother, but she's white. I mean, what are we doing here? Are we being asked to pretend that race doesn't exist? I don't understand. Can you have a black mother giving birth to a white kid? Is Nori adopted? To me, this is what annoys me about this kind of intersectional type of stuff that we see in these shows, because it's almost like a shit test. They know they've gone out of their way to cast black hobbits and black dwarves and black elves because they want to confront you with it. They want someone like me to have to say, you know, why is there a tribe of hobbits and that they're kind of not more racially similar. It's a shit test. They do this kind of thing so that when you ask the question like that honestly and sincerely, they're trying to basically say, you know, well, there's black hobbits now, so what are you going to do about that? Oh, don't you like that there's black hobbits? Are you some kind of racist? It's so annoying. So that's the hobbits, and we'll talk. The stranger guy, I don't know, there's not enough to say about him. He's some kind of wizard. Southland story with the elf of colour and the Iranian activist woman. This is a really boring strand. The black elf guy, he's a handsome guy. He can't act for shit. He is absolutely wooden. So all the tables and chairs in the world must be really happy because they're going to finally see themselves represented. From what I know about him, English isn't his first language. He's a Puerto Rican guy. And it sounds to me like pretty much all of his brain power is going into trying to do an English accent, because he is not convinced. He is dull. The Iranian woman, she's a single mother. I was distracted by her because she looks like she's had so much Botox and so much filler. her forehead looked so tight. Like, it was like a drum. I kept thinking that if she blinks, she's going to tear her forehead open. Look, I hate it when they put people in historical movies that have obvious signs of cosmetic surgery. It is so distracting. I felt exactly the same way about Nicole Kidman in The Northman, because I had the same problem. It was like looking at a woman whose face was being held together with bulldog clips. You know, it is so distracting. It looks so out of place. It pulls me out of it immediately. In fact, everything in this show pulls me out of the show. I'm watching the show, and it's like being kicked in the face constantly by stuff that shouldn't be there. So, the elf guy, something I noticed about him, and something I've noticed about the elves in general, their ears. Their ears are meaty. Like, I'm looking at these elves' ears, and they look a lot like pig ears. They look like the kind of ears I used to get from the butcher to feed to my dog. There's these big, chunky, meaty ears. I thought I was imagining it, but I looked at the ears on the, Arwen and Galadriel from the Jackson movies, and they're really elegant. It just looks wrong to me, anyway. And this whole Southland thing, it's I know they want to make this a diverse and inclusive show, but having so many people of colour in medieval England settings, it just doesn't feel like it belongs there. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry. If they want to have, like, people of colour in a Middle-earth show, there's ways they could do it, but they're doing it in the kind of, like, shit test way. It's like, yes, well, we got black people here now, we got black elves here now, and we got black dwarves here now, we got a Chinese dwarf, and look, we've got a Mongolian Balrog. It's so dumb, it's so lame. I've had it with this kind of stuff, man. I've had it. There's a level of appropriateness that has to be honoured, I think. And here's an example. I know you're full of shit, Amazon, I know you're full of shit, because in the Southlands, what kind of dog did one of the people have? They had one of those wolfhound, lurcher-looking dogs. Why? Because they're old-fashioned dogs that people have in England. So you have an appropriate casting there, don't you? You could have used a poodle. You could have had a little Pekingese dog, couldn't you? But you chose one of those. Why? Because it was appropriate. So you are aware of this stuff. But it's obvious that Middle-earth is meant to be a European, like an ancient Europe. So having just black people, Indian people, Maori people, Chinese people, Mongolian people, having all these different types of people everywhere, it feels less mythic. It feels less fantastical. What it does, it makes the world of Middle-earth feel small. It makes the world feel small because travel in ancient times, travel was hard. It took a long time to get anywhere. It was dangerous. You'd run out of food, you'd run out of water, you could get robbed and killed and eaten by lions and tigers or whatever, and so they didn't do it that often. They tended to stay where they were until relatively recently. That's why it's so dumb. And having this way of justifying it, like, oh well, the world now is multicultural, so this prehistoric ancient mythology written by a white Victorian Englishman has to be multicultural. No, it don't. It has no obligation to be like anything else other than what he imagined. So to have that kind of agenda, it makes it less immersive, and it makes it feel small. It makes it feel tiny. The way you make fantasy work is it has to be grounded in reality. It has to be. And this ain't. Sorry, it's just the way it is, it's just the truth. So let's go on to the dwarves. Now, the dwarves are probably my favourite thing in the show. Generally speaking, the guy that plays Doran, he's the best in the show. He is actually delivering a performance. He's good. I thought he was good. He looks the part, the dwarf, Khazad-dûm, it looks good. Pretty much. I mean, that's one thing about the show. People have been talking shit about the effects and the production design. I think it looks fine. There are shots in this show that are very cinematic, and, It does look fine, but that's not really something I'm going to praise because that's just money. If you've got a lot of money, you can pay for this stuff, and Amazon have a lot of money. So, now these are the dwarf of colour. What do I have to say about it? Her character is fairly simplistic. She's just like a kind of like warm-hearted, kind, supportive wife. But these, the actress is, she does a fine job, really. She's okay, but like I've already said, it's distracting. You know, the dwarf of colour angle is distracting. Tolkien wrote a prehistoric mythology for England, and the people who were in England at the time, guess what? They were pretty white. It's distracting, you know, but as annoying as the actress is, and based on some of the shit she's been saying in interviews, I thought she was actually fine. Something that annoys me about this is the lack of beards on female dwarves, and this might sound again trivial, but it's not trivial because the dwarven culture, it's specified that women dwarves have beards. They, you know, that is part of their kind of like, that's part of their legend. And I know it might seem a bit fucked up giving women beards, but in The Hobbit they did it and it looked fine. They found a creative solution to giving women beards and having it not look silly. So that you can just rip off what The Hobbit did. You know, they found creative solutions to making the hair on the women's faces look good. They had like jewels hanging off their little sideburny bits, and you know, the women were proud of their beards. And this is the thing, the dwarfs, they like their beards. It's all, they are proud of their beards. To them, women with beards are sexy. This is what makes it interesting. It's a weird culture. And so, you know, yeah, we don't find it attractive, generally speaking, you know, women with beards. I mean, I've never looked at a woman with a beard and thought she looked good, but you know, the dwarves do. And that's because they're a different culture. That's what makes them fantastical. That's what makes them interesting. You know, they're different. They have a different set of beauty standards to us, and it's well established, and you can't just ignore it. You chickened out. You were cowards. You didn't have the courage to do it. And I think one of the reasons you didn't have the courage to do it was because you knew you were going to cast Amazon. I'm talking to you. You knew you were going to cast a black dwarf woman, and you didn't want to give her a beard, did you? You knew that was your intention from the start. You were going to cast a black woman to play a dwarf, thinking that you were, you know, doing some kind of like diversity revolution, and you didn't want her to have a beard. So that's it. It was that point. So all of Tolkien's lore gets thrown out the window. Which is really the ethos of this show. You value diversity and inclusion more than you value Tolkien, and that's what makes this show suck. Because he wrote the mythology that people love, and you guys just don't care. You've hollowed it out and you've injected it with your own shit, and it's not as good. By ignoring it, you make the dwarf race seem less mythic, less interesting, less unusual, less fantastical. You homogenize it and you make it seem bland and dull and, you know, predictable. You should have given all the women beards. You should have done it, and you didn't do it. So the dwarf stuff is the best stuff in the show, and it doesn't get a pass because they ignored a really important bit of lore. I'm sorry. This show, it's so contrived. And I'll give you an example. When not Gandalf falls from the sky like an arthritic meteorite and lands in the ground and makes this big burning crater that looks like a volcano, Nori, the female Frodo hobbit, she crawls into the crater. And the crater is all kind of like glowing with heat, and you know, the embers are kind of like red and hot looking like a furnace or something like that. And as she falls into this crater, the first thing she says is, "Oh, it's not hot." And And the only reason they did that is because they wanted her to crawl towards not Gandalf. They wanted that scene. They wanted her... And the only way you could do that is if the crater wasn't hot, because if it was hot, your skin would be falling off your bones. So we have to have this pathetic line, "Oh, it's not hot!" just so we can facilitate the scene. And it's like that all the time. This show is badly written. It's badly written. And there's how do I even explain this next bit is so stupid. I don't even know how to explain it. The young son, first of all, the orcs have tunneled their way underground into the village. They've dug a whole tunnel. It's like the Great Escape in this bitch, man. They've dug a whole tunnel under the village. So whatever, and they discover, I think this is what happens. The boy discovers the orc under the floorboards because there's a mouse in his own home that he tries to smash with some kind of metal bar, and he's smashing at this mouse so hard, not hitting the mouse, just smashing that, just swinging this metal rod around, just in the hopes that he might actually kill a mouse. He's swinging this thing so hard, he smashes the floorboards in his own house. That's like having a fly on your window and hurling a brick at your own window to kill the fly. It's so stupid. And again, it's just a contrived thing. How do we reveal the orc under the floorboards? I don't know. We'll have this kid grab a metal rod and just smash the floorboards open. Why? Oh, I don't know. Maybe there's a mouse there. It's so dumb. Why would anyone do this? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. I'm watching this show and I'm just thinking, was that the best thing you could come up with? Was there nothing else? Was there nothing else you could have come up with? Dumb shit. This show is fucking stupid. It is so bad. It's just, it's so lazy. Let's talk about the Galadriel thing is going to be overplayed. Her story is this is the thing. I've seen 2 episodes of this, right, and not really a lot happens. Every storyline in this fucking show is dull. I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered really about any of this. It's dull. Galadriel, this is some bullshit right here, man. This is some bullshit right here. Galadriel, she jumps off the boat. She is leaving Middle-earth, Galadriel. She is leaving Middle-earth to go to the Undying Lands, which, you know, I guess is like heaven for elves or something. So, and just as she's about to enter the Undying Lands, she jumps off the boat and swims. And that would be... I mean, I'm trying to work this out because it's so... I couldn't believe how stupid this was. Based on the map of the world that Tolkien created, that would be like... Where is she swimming to? That would be like jumping off a boat in Costa Rica and deciding that you're going to swim all the way to London or something like that. It's about 3,000 miles. I mean, what the hell? This is so profoundly stupid. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? Why would you even write this? It's so profoundly stupid. You know, the elves, obviously, because they're meant to be so wise. They're so wise. They would know that there's like monsters in the water. Because there's one on the map at the beginning. So they know there's these like sea monsters and that kind of thing. So what, you're gonna swim thousands of miles knowing that there's no land anywhere, knowing that there's mythological fantasy monsters that want to eat you. God, it's so dumb. It's so stupid. Someone hasn't even looked at the map. Whoever wrote this they're not even familiar with the geography, or they're hoping that enough people either won't know or won't care, and that's the epitome of shitty writing. You write some bullshit and just hope you'll get away with it. That's terrible. That's insultingly bad. And this is something that really I find strange about this show, is that the visual effects are actually pretty good. Despite what people say, they're actually pretty good, to be honest. Credit where credit is due. But the way they use it's all in service of nothing. It's in service of nothing. An example, the troll fight, right? The troll looked okay. I thought he was pretty convincing. You can't really see him. Galadriel just like tap dancing on a sword, being flipped in the air, swishing her blade around, and just dispatching this troll like he ain't shit, like he's nothing. It's not cool. Because it makes the way you make the character more heroic is you give them something to overcome. But this is something they can't do anymore. They can't do this with female characters. They can't have female characters face any kind of hardship, face any kind of struggle. They have to come out of the gate. They come out of the womb perfect, and they are just perfect. Like this, it's so. So, this is the thing about this is the thing about these monster scenes. We've got the troll, we got that scene, we got the sea monster scene, and they're anticlimactic because they kind of it looks like something good is about to happen, and then it doesn't go anywhere. Oh, it's a troll. This is going to be cool. And oh wait, killed him. Fine, okay. Oh shit, here's a sea monster. Oh look, there it is. Oh wait, no, she's swimming away from it. Okay, it's gone now. It's alright. And that's what this show is. It's like you keep thinking to yourself, like oh wait, this looks cool. That's nice. That's cool looking. Oh wait, no, it was just a cool looking shot. It's we're going back to boring. In this show, it reminds what it reminds me of. It reminds me a lot of the George Lucas prequels. There's a lot of standing and talking and sitting. It's dull. It's uninspired. It's dull, and I don't get it because you could have made something so good out of what the ingredients that are here. You got Tolkien. You got access to Tolkien. How can you make that dull? For God's sake! What the hell's the matter with you? Amazon, what the hell are you doing? How can you make trolls and giant sea monsters? How can you make this shit boring? But you've done it somehow. You've made cool shit bland and dull. It's quite an achievement, really. And we're at the 2-hour mark, and nothing's happened yet. What the hell are you doing? Seriously, what the hell are you guys doing? This script, whoever's written this show, man. Because credit where credit's due, I don't think the actors are bad. I think they're doing the best with what they've got. The script is shit. The script is shit, the dialogue is shit, the characters are shit. The visuals are good. I saw I've seen 2 episodes, literally a few hours ago, and I cannot remember a lot that happened in them. I just remember that I was bored and I was waiting for something to happen. If this is the show, if this is your show, Amazon, you are in deep shit, man. You are in deep shit. It might not be fair to compare it to Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna. Because it has to be. Because the people that made it have compared it to Lord of the Rings, because you keep ripping the fucking films off. You've got Gandalf in a nappy and sitting in a crater. You found an actor that looks a bit like Ian McKellen, and you've got him falling to Earth like some wrinkly ass asteroid, and you have him sitting in a crater with a nappy. You've chosen a female hobbit that looks like Elijah Wood. You've chosen a fat hobbit that looks like a female Sam. You know, you've got the same design ethos of the dwarves. It's all crystalline and geometric. So they obviously are trying to evoke those films, but they got nothing to evoke it with. Because the thing that made that stuff good was Tolkien, and you ain't doing anything to evoke Tolkien with this show. You know, yeah, you've got representation, but the one thing that matters, that should be represented, isn't represented, and that's Tolkien. That's Tolkien's work. What the hell? I don't know. I don't even know. I can't even believe I'm watching this. It is like fan fiction. There's not any drama. There's not any tension. There's not any suspense. It's like, here's a troll and here's some fighting. They don't seem to understand how to stage things so that they kind of resonate with people. So when you make your characters completely fearless and invulnerable, there's no tension and there's no drama and there's nothing to overcome. It's not heroic. The whole point of a hero's journey is you overcome the struggle. By turning Galadriel into a kind of a sword-wielding monster slayer, you're making her seem a lot weaker, actually. You're making her seem kind of like more human. Whereas what made Galadriel powerful was that she was like the ultimate, she's like the ultimate female character, because she's strong and feminine at the same time. And that scene where Cate Blanchett is like, you know, you have no power here, it's amazing. And there's a kind of warmth, there's a kind of kindness to her. There's a kind of charm to her. And this Galadriel don't have none of that. So basically they've got the name of Galadriel and they've hollowed out the character. They've taken everything cool about the character that made the character genuinely empowered, and they've turned her into a kind of like, you know, Mary Sue, you know, man without a penis, effectively. And it's corporate agenda driven, soulless, expensive bullshit. Really. There's your review. And that's it. That's it in a nutshell.